Larry Heather. I've been involved in the pro-life movement since the mid-70s. And just to proof documentation, this is a 1-inch advertising tape we ran on CFAC.
We don't want this up.
As far as the
Come on.
advocacy then, there were complaints of running pictures, positive pictures of unborn children at that time as well. So we have a positive picture in front of you. These are some of the most valuable members of our society.
Chair, we no longer have quorum. Is Councillor Farrell on this committee?
Okay, we just lost quorum, so what is our... Hold for a moment, Mr. Heather. Please sit down. Or, you're fine there, sorry. To be fair, the image that Mr. Heather shared with us is of a fetus, I assume, in utero.
Whatever. Whoops.
So, Madam Clerk, we have a procedural sort of piece of gymnastics that we have to perform here because we just lost quorum. What do we do?
With the resumption of a full committee, you can call a meeting to order starting right away. Okay.
I'm going to call the second meeting of Community and Protective Services for November 13th to order. We are in the middle of the previous agenda, 7.2 on the agenda. This is the report on safe school zones, and Mr. Larry Heather, member of the public, was in the process of presenting. Mr. Heather, I have your clock frozen from the last meeting at 4:17 minutes remaining. Is that going to be enough for you, sir?
Sure.
I apologize for the disruption. Please, let's resume.
Much has been made about captive audiences, but we have to realize there's a lot of internal advocacy groups operating in the schools today, authorized by ATA and others, that are producing very radical social transformation concepts within the schools. When one group shows up outside the school, all of a sudden we want a bylaw to shut it down. The originating motion of April 8th, 2019 involves the city in areas it has no business intruding into, as in the previous unconstitutional mailbox ban. The charter right of expression involves a multitude of expressions on innumerable issues that all citizens have a right to see or be exposed to. And such bylaws designed to suppress the truth and rights of expression are easily challenged in court, provided the proper funding can match the unlimited access to cash the city legal department has at their disposal. With the advent of the smartphone and digital gaming, young people are as never before exposed to images of violence and degradation, real or imagined, which show up the raw side of life. We see harrowing images of children and adults in areas of famine. We see pictures of Falun Gong in China who are imprisoned and their organs being taken from them while they're alive for transplants. There's a steady stream of digital gaming plots based around killing and dismemberment of human beings. During the federal election, my Christian Heritage fellow candidate in Calgary Centre presented to the candidate forum a picture of an aborted baby. If anywhere, that would be the place to convince adults that something is seriously out of place with our human rights in Canada. But alas, even there, where criminal code policy is determined, people do not want to see the evidence. So it's a suppression of the evidence The violence against unborn children, as opposed to the imagined, is an accurate depiction of what our culture is permitting behind the sanitized walls of our hospitals. The tiniest of humans are victims of gross human rights violations, blatant discrimination on the basis of residence, size, and anonymity. We should consider that the trauma caused to new students in viewing such images pales in comparison to the tragedy of involvement in an abortion later on in life that will last for their lives. Sex education anarchy takes place in classrooms throughout Alberta under the full approval of the Department of Education and the ATA. The one group that was teaching abstinent options to inquiring public school children was thrown out of the system 2 years ago after providing this much desired option for some 30 years. Around that time, it was discovered that the website set up by Dr. Christopher Wells for GSAs had links to videos of some of the vilest sexual practices imaginable. I have been involved in pro-life advocacy since the mid-70s.
You're going to rise on a point of privilege, please?
I started the Crisis Pregnancy Center. We've saved thousands of children. And I also stopped Mr. Morgenthaler at the Calgary airport and caused him to avoid setting up in Calgary for a period of 5 years. So I think advocacy is necessary. There are people in this building today that are alive because of my efforts, believe it or not. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation, sir. And with regard to Councillor Farrell, the member of the public was making an argument that I did not find went outside the bounds of what's before us today. This is obviously going to be something that's heard in the courts of law. People have every right to lay out their position. Okay. Next member of the public, please.
Morning.